How do you think this DC motor, as far as power and performance, is going to compare to the original engine that was in here? What's up, everyone? Have you ever heard of a VW Squareback? I haven't until today, and I'm with Chandler with EVWorks. Hi. And he's going to take us through this super cool EV conversion with a VW Squareback.
Yeah.
What's up, Chandler?
This is our 67 Squareback. This is one of our clients. He's had this car for quite some time and wanted to convert it to something that could be sort of a sustainable around town cruiser. It came to us basically partially finished. There was another shop that had done some work on it but hadn't finished it yet. So we went through, basically kind of reworked some of the stuff that they had in the car and massaged sort of some more modern systems into the mix. It's running an old school DC setup with a Solaton controller and a Kostov 9-inch DC motor.
Oh, wow. Old school.
Yeah, and it came with some Volkswagens prismatic cells. So it was kind of interesting to work with some of those older systems, but then get them a little more modernized with a proper Orion BMS setup, and just get it running in a way that, you know, was much more safe and functional.
Sweet. So what we can see under the hood here is actually kind of neatly tucked away in design, but what are we looking at?
So this is the front battery box. These are some of the holes that the original wires were run through. Those are going to get capped off, but in the back we have a proper connector. One of the things we added was proper connectors with interlocks, just to make sure that we're not just running cables through holes that are unprotected.
Interlocks are super important for safety as well, right?
Yes, yeah. So if for some reason any of the connectors on the vehicle get unplugged and don't get restored, maybe someone's working on it, or if they just wiggle loose, the vehicle has the ability to basically see that those connectors are undone and prevent an end user from starting the vehicle with them disconnected. That could cause potentially an arc flash, someone could get electrocuted. It's just a small safety feature that you can add that really helps round out and robust the safety systems in the vehicle.
Amazing. That's really important.
Yeah.
Now, what about this? This is the charger.
Yeah, this is just our little mounting plate just to keep the charger in a nice, easy to access spot. The original vehicle would have its fuel tank up here, and you'd pop the hood to fuel up front.
Really?
So we kind of just kept the charge port kind of in the same vicinity of where the fuel tank would be.
Talk about safety. A fuel tank right in the couple zone in the front seems like a bad idea.
Yeah. So this is the front battery pack, which is the smaller of the two. There is, around the back, the majority of the battery cells are stored in the rear in this main battery pack here.
And this is where it gets its name, the Squareback.
You got your Squareback. A lot of these you would see kind of a more common fastback, where this sort of you don't get the wagon style. It sort of slants up to meet the back of the roof line. This is the rear battery box. Again, kind of with a lot of our conversions, go for kind of this like clean, sleek look. This vehicle came to us with these battery boxes prefabricated, so we had to work within those constraints. But tidied it up. Again, you can see where the holes were drilled, where the cables were previously coming out. We wanted to go for a cleaner look that didn't have high voltage cables routed through the cabin itself.
Sure.
So a lot of that wiring has been moved to the underside of the vehicle. We could put the lift up and take a look underneath it if you'd like. And then this is just the reservoir for the cooling loop down underneath the vehicle.
How big is the battery pack in total?
It's a 32 kilowatt hour pack. It tops out at about 244 volts, about 200 volts nominal. Yeah.
So when the customer came, were they tempted at all to swap into AC system and ditch the DC?
I think what they really wanted, I think they had budget in mind. They wanted to just get their conversion finished. I think this project has been in the works for many, many years for them. And we're the kind of the second shop finishing up what the first shop had worked on. So for them, this was a budget conversion, just trying to get things buttoned up, but get them buttoned up and done right.
Yeah, and so they're excited to be able to drive this shortly.
Yeah.
Cool. What does the interior look like on this?
Yeah, so It's got a brand new interior. We have a shop that we work with next door. She does great work on these vehicles. We just got this back from her. She finished installing all new trim panels and seating, did the carpets. She does amazing work.
This is really cool.
Yeah.
So in a DC system, is this going straight into the rear end, or is it is there going to be a transmission still?
There is still a transmission. This retains the stock 4-speed transmission that came with the Squareback. So you still can kind of drive it like a stick shift, which is honestly, it's kind of fun. It adds a little extra element to driving these electric vehicles.
Sure.
The DC motor, I would say, doesn't make quite as much power as some of the more modern AC systems. So the transmission is sometimes a little more necessary on this compared to some of our other conversions we've done. Like the bus, that still has its transmission in it, but you can kind of leave it in a gear if you don't feel like shifting, or shift if you want a driving experience.
Sure. The gauges here, those look like they are upgraded.
Yeah. So on the far left, that is the stock clock for the vehicle.
Okay.
And then the 2 gauges on the right are a modern servo-driven EV gauge. So on the left there, or in the middle there, you have your a GPS speedometer with a smaller tachometer inset into it. And then that gauge on the far right is our state of charge meter. And all the lights around it are turn signals, hazards, your high beams, and then the rest of them are all warning indicator lights from the motor controller, the BMS, basically just all incorporated into one little gauge cluster there for you.
That's really cool. It looks like it has your logo in it as well. Did you guys develop these gauges?
These gauges we get through Speed Hut.
Okay.
They do awesome gauges. We use them in a lot of our builds, but they offer, they're already printing a custom backing panel to that, so you can have a custom logo put in it, and so
great.
That was just a nice little touch to add there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, if the offer still stands to put this up on the lift, I think it'd be really interesting to see what's going on underneath this car.
So most of the interesting stuff is going on here in the back. So as you can see here, we've got this basically came to us with this Kostov 9 already installed. It already had the adapter plate in there, and they'd already mounted up this controller. So a lot of our work was trying to incorporate some of the peripheral systems, like getting these high voltage wires installed, doing them in a manner that was nice and secure, integrating our EV harness with the existing DC stuff that's in here, and doing stuff like we're working on getting the original engine boot. This is still the original, so it doesn't quite fit up, but this client, they wanted to basically use, the Squareback has these cooling ducts. There's like fins on the side of the vehicle, if you'll notice, and it pulls air in and brings it down here to where the engine was.
Oh, cool.
Which happens to just about line up with the air intake for this Kostov motor. So we're working on making a new boot that'll help make this just integrate nicely with that existing cooling intake.
That worked out really well.
Yeah, and it's a better question for Clint, but Clint's also gone and upgraded the torsion bars, the dampers. He's gone through and basically, souped everything up to get it so that it can handle the heavier weight of the batteries in the back and get the ride height, nice and adjusted so it looks just right. There's still some finishing touches, so the ride height's not quite perfect just yet, but it's 90% of the way there to riding correctly. And then this right here is just the cooler for the inverter. Basically a small water block just mounted right there. And I think that's most of the stuff to touch on. And again, we've got our EV system. These connectors are connectors, with a proper interlock, so the vehicle knows when they've been disconnected.
And that's the bottom of the battery box right there, right?
Yes. Yeah. This is the battery box you can see in the rear. This is basically the underside of that housing. And again, this was part of the the system that came to us sort of half finished,
Sure.
done by another shop, and you know, we're just going through and buttoning it up and getting it done for this client.
How do you think this DC motor, as far as power and performance, is going to compare to the original engine that was in here?
It definitely feels like it makes more power. I haven't driven a Squareback in particular, but I've driven a number of Volkswagens, and you know, it's got some good pep, especially kind of on the low end. Yeah, it's super fun to drive around. It definitely, you know, all these older Volkswagens that we do conversions on, I always look forward to testing them, because just driving around town, it always turns heads. You should always get smiles and waves.
Yeah.
It's been super fun to drive.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking us through this.
Yeah, of course.
And it looks like the owner is going to have a lot of fun
Yeah.
with this here real shortly.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.